The loop of awareness is simply shifting your attention, which actually most people either don't do or don't even know that they can do. Hi, Katie.
Hello.
Hey, Soph.
It's really funny because I was going to start this conversation. I had this whole, as you know, we do as humans with a plan. And then the plan was not what I was imagining because I asked you how you were. And big things happened this week. What happened?
Oh, well, I live in Ojai. So we actually made the national news on Sunday because not only did we have a hurricane moving through, which was a tropical storm by the time it got to us, but we had an earthquake. Everybody thought it was, someplace else, but it was actually in our lap. And I felt as though it was in my lap because I was sitting in bed and suddenly everything went, really, and the chandelier went and things started falling and the cats went, ooh.
Yeah, as they would. I'm like the cats. I do exactly that. We had rain and I was under the bed, kind of like a cat.
Right.
Well.
And we have a big quilt now that fits over the bed. And so they go underneath it. It's their fort, which is really wonderful. So, it created, for me, I immediately got dizzy and I got a little nauseated, and because I was really feeling the shifting of everything. And then there were some afterquakes. And so, long story, I came in from outside and I just slipped. And what I was thinking is that I did a kind of a Fred Astaire fall because I sort of
glided out. You fell elegantly.
And I elegantly went whoop, and so I didn't hurt myself badly, but I did strain the inside of my knee, and so I know it's just like.
Okay, and you told me in the news they called it what did they call it? The Hurri-quake?
The Hurri-quake. So and so everybody thought that was just very, very charming. We had another aftershocks this morning. We've had many aftershocks. So it was a 5.1. So it was enough that when it went off, it was a boom.
Wow.
And it was, I think it's my fourth earthquake. So it wasn't as if, I knew exactly what was going on, but of course our cats, it was so interesting because, we have this concept in our relationship work of glommers and splitters, and the glommers just have to be close and the splitters just have to have space. Well, our cats did exactly that. Within 15 minutes, Greta was on my lap. The glommer. And Allie continued monitoring the perimeter and went into splitter mode and don't get near me. And are you part of this? And it was really interesting to see but they're both much, much better now. And they're
Well, talk about dealing with the unexpected, because I feel like life goes along and we're going and we're coming and everything's good. And then something happens. That could, you didn't hurt yourself, but you could have,
I did hurt myself, but I could have hurt myself really badly.
Okay.
And I didn't. And having fallen and broken his leg, and then he was getting better. And then he fell again, just when he was starting to walk with a cane. And it was, he fell at the gym where he was
recovering and trying to rehab
his recovery and broke his leg again. So the whole sense for me, what I've been taking from that is that if I expect something to go a certain way, I'm setting myself up. And dealing with the unexpected is sort of like finding your legs in the middle of an earthquake. That's what it seems like to me, or finding my sea legs, or when what you think is solid, what I think is solid, starts moving.
Yes.
The
thing you trust. It's like the earth is supposed to be stable.
Right. Something is supposed to be. And for me, I was applying that to all of these other areas of my life. Like, this is not supposed to be happening. It's supposed to be this way. We're supposed to have something to count on. But my sense is that right now, really in almost every aspect of life. What I'm needing to do is like, okay, what's present right now? And how can I be fully with this right now? Because when I notice if I get even slightly out ahead of myself, that's when I either fall or I bump into something or I knock something over. So, boy, it's such a discipline, though, to like, okay, this is what's happening right now. Because the tendency is I want to jump, I want to anticipate, I want to. So that's some of what's been going on over here in my neck of the woods.
The neck of the woods that's being hit by old fronts.
That's
On the, it's funny because even when we started, we do this thing, which I'm going to invite us to do right now, actually.
Oh,
To
yeah.
remind us.
Excellent. Okay.
But we do these little bubble things. So let's do it. And
So
as I was asking you to do it at the beginning of this,
at the very beginning, and I blew, and the water went all over me.
And you were, I love the way you reacted was beautiful, because I could see for 2 seconds you were like, oh, do I need to go change this? Whatever it was, seconds. And you were just like, you know what? That's what's been happening. And you just went along with the wet shirt.
Yep. So it's still slightly wet, and hey, that's
well. Look at how perfect of a shirt that is. To be a little bit wet.
It's perfect. Yeah. What I really noticed too is that if I go with what's happening, I get supported. You know, like there are things that happen, like it fits the shirt. You know, that like I didn't spill all of my water, and it was just water. And even though I spilled it,
it could have been something.
It used to, like offend me. Like this just should not be happening. It's like,
right.
Oh, well, it's what one of my friends calls a shrug.
Oh.
That she's able to go, yeah. Yeah.
And you know what's beautiful with that is what I witnessed is it's not like it didn't affect you. It affected you. But it went really fast on how you, and it was genuine. Like I didn't see anything. I mean, lots of humans are very used to, okay, I'm fine. It wasn't that at all. You were genuinely, and you moved your body like you would, and then you were just, there you were in a half of a second. It was quite a thing.
I so appreciate you saying that, because what I hear often, like from students and from friends, is that the goal is somehow I should stay. I should stay present. My goal is to stay present. And what I say is you can't stay, nothing stays. And I just think that's so hard for our logical brains. They just really want things to make sense and to be able to be put in some kind of logical progression. And so I think it's all part of our training right now that the world is putting us through.
Why do you think we feel, is it a safety? Like, why do we feel like somehow, because you look at nature, as I'm talking to you, there's winds and these trees and everything. I mean, it looked differently a week ago. So clearly in nature, we age, we grow, we change our hair. Everything is in movement. And somehow, are we thinking we're not part of nature, that we shouldn't? Or like,
yes, I actually think that's the main problem, is that humans don't think that they're part of nature. I remember back in school, one of the most important things that I remember is manifest destiny. That Americans think that, and that comes from the Europeans, like dominion over the earth and the animals. And so we think that we humans, are the ones that control it. And what I call that, and how I experience that, is entitlement.
Yeah,
I have a right to things being stable.
And the way I want them to be.
And the way I want them right now. And so for me, that I think is one of the biggest lessons that we're all getting right now. And for me, letting myself be affected. So I'm not gripping, I'm not going into a freeze, or getting really dense, but, going with that and then letting myself shift into presence, finding all of these different ways that I can come home to me again. And then on we go, because, I think, if we just look at what's going on in the world, I think it's just going to be one unexpected thing after another now.
It's almost like the expected is that it's going to be unexpected.
Yeah, we could. And I hate that. I was just hearing the phrase, the new normal, in my head, but I don't even think there's nothing normal going on right now. and that we're in charge. Each of us is in charge of finding the word that was just coming to me that I'm really loving right now is coherence.
Mm.
And coherence, I experience as kind of this weave that allows me to have a felt sense of wholeness.
Mm.
And when I can experience that, I can meet whatever is going on and
Mm-hmm.
not have to conquer it, not think of it as us versus them or are going to get rolled over by it, but that I can meet it. And when I do that, all kinds of unexpected connection and kind of sweetness happens.
I love that. It reminds me many, many years ago. Oof, I was in my early 20s, I think. I did this sport, which I don't think is a sport anymore because too many people got hurt. It was called something like hydro watering, hydro flow, something. But you had
Oh,
to wear this kind of wetsuit and your knees were protected more and your hips. And I think your elbows. And then you would nothing else. You were just and then you would wear these like bobsleigh type thing, what would you call that? Like almost like like around your arms, not the rest of your body, just like around your arms. And then we would go down these rivers where rafting boats would usually go, right? And
wow.
I know exactly. It's the closest one could be to being a fish. It's like you're just with the water, right? I remember this one guy got really hurt, like both of his knees banged in a way, something. And I had noticed right after I found out that he had hurt himself, I just recalled he was fighting the river. Like somehow, those who didn't get hurt, like I at some point was like, you know what? If I fight this is not going to go well. I could see that the fighting was kind of causing. But if you were to trust the river, which is obviously not an easy thing to do because it's moving you around and it's putting you underwater and off you come back up. But somehow I found in me this sense that if I was to stay coherent with me and somehow trust the river, that I would be fine. But this guy, he was trying to get it where he wanted to be and turn the corner as he wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the
And
one who hurt himself.
we see that everywhere. That's such a great example. And what I'm hearing is that you were connecting with the river.
Yeah.
Or being with the river the way that it was flowing. And I think the mistake that humans make is I'm in charge and I know better. We used to laugh about the Army Corps of Engineers who would always be trying to straighten out the Mississippi River. And, and it would never work, of course. It would always be go over the banks or would go a completely different direction because it's nature. And so somehow we think that we humans are not nature. We're something else. We're not part of nature. And I think that's the big lesson that's going on right now.
And it's interesting too, because even the way you describe the cocky, kind of entitled thing, like I know what I'm doing, it's like you'd think that gives you some confidence. But the truth, what had to happen in that river is I had to trust, yes, the river, but I also had to have genuine trust in me that I was going to be okay, that I had trust in nature. I had trust in, I don't know, that it wasn't meant for me to be breaking bones at this moment or something. So the confidence you're describing, or the cockiness really that we're describing, that people may understand as confidence, know what I'm doing, that maybe it's actually coming from not trusting.
I think it's coming from fear, and that a sense of it's a fight, which is an expression of fear. And when I'm fighting, I get separate. And I think it's not just between humans. So if I'm fighting, something like fighting the river, there was actually a book many, many years ago. I think it was called Don't Push the River. Mm-hmm. So the whole sense of what is the way that things are wanting to go. And when I go with, then there's an opportunity. That's one of the main principles of Aikido, too, by the way, is going with. Yes. And then you get to harness that energy to move it in a different direction. But if you're trying to control it or fight it, then
you go against it.
Yes, or go against it. Then you create that push-pull. And, I think we've just given a lesson in relationship. That's it, everybody. So we can go home now.
It is really fascinating because we study all sorts of things in school, which are not really that relevant because we have phones to tell us, the alphabetized order of the states in America. So, but somehow that's still what's being studied, where I think something like this would be really nice to know, to learn this true trust of oneself, this true, confidence that we're going to be able to handle. I love the way you said earlier, we're able to receive. It's like we're somehow, instead of being, and then the thing happens and all we can do is like fall, because we're not in this thing that you do always with your body that allows. but really, it's the strength. It looks like the flexible thing, but it really is the strength.
Well, it's I recently saw a drone picture of a forest of trees from the top, which, I have never seen before. And what I noticed is that the trees were dancing.
Yeah.
And they were moving with each other. And that is, it communicates information. It creates the flow of aliveness. And so everything that's in motion allows us to recover our presence. There was an article one of my friends just shared with me. It came out a couple of days ago about that when people are looking at their screens all the time, that they stop breathing. And they've documented this now, that when you're in you literally decrease your aliveness. And so the amplification of giving attention to your body, to the flow of aliveness, of movement, of breath, but also the whole idea of being with. And as we were talking earlier about this whole concept of sustaining. In the Indian philosophy, there are these three gunas, and creating, that's an Indian word, and I don't know the Indian translation, but it's creating, sustaining, and destroying. And that all three of those energies are part of how life really works best. And it seems to me that we've lost sustaining.
Oh, the middle one. Yeah.
The middle one, which is tending to, caring for, repairing. Like we have a little it goes on, we go, okay, what just happened there? And we repair it or we renew it. So all of those words have gotten really lost. So we go right away from creating something to throwing it away. And in that, I think extends to relationships too, not just to, our everyday, our stuff.
Well, look at how people are doing meeting people, like in the apps. I mean, at least before you had to read a little something or ask a couple questions, now it's literally like, or, oh.
Right. But it's not actually, my sense is that what that creates is a kind of a stone skipping over a pond. It creates a kind of horizontal connection where we think we're having some kind of nourishment, but if we're not doing that sustaining, the giving and receiving and being with, we don't get to go deeper into the kind of connection that's really, really nourishing. So it's one of the things that I love about my connection with you is that we can pause it and go, whoa, let's go a little deeper here. And let's be with that a little bit more. And then something new arises out of that, some kind of new energy or new connection that allows both of us to experience more liveliness from the inside out, not in the, got to get another thing so that I can
go do some other thing even.
And then I'll toss it.
Yeah. That's funny because I was just thinking about how, and maybe that is a bit of an age thing. Like as I got older, I'd rather have a couple of you in my life than to have what I used to do, to collect
whole,
and collect. I'm not even judging that I was doing that. I think there's a time, there's a time for everything. But as I know what I am, I know who I am. It's becoming simpler. It's like when I meet someone that's like yesterday, I met someone who said, I literally was like, did you just say that? Like, I was literally like, I couldn't, we were talking about something about the body, and I've lost a good amount of weight. And he was asking questions about it, and he said, "So what do you eat? What are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, I eat healthy. I've been eating healthy for a long time, and I move my body regularly." But really, to lose this kind of weight, introspection was really like self-love and discovering why I wanted to hide. And I said 3 or 4 things that to me are, pretty standard of the work one does to get to know oneself. And it was like, oh, that is so not interesting. Like, getting to know me? Like, I thought he was being sarcastic for a moment. I was just like, I know, funny. He was like, no, I'm seriously, I avoid that like as most I can. And I sat there just like, wow, well, you're someone I don't really want to hang out with too much. Right.
Right. And you got that information right away.
Right away. And I didn't, before I would have been, well, let me fix this guy. Let me see if I can drop him deeper. Not my village, not my clowns, not my circus, whatever that thing is. Right?
You're right.
Not my circus, not my monkeys.
Where did the monkeys go?
Well, it's funny because how we started with this, like, how do we respond to the unexpected? And now you're speaking of sustainability. They feel related to me. They feel like if I knew how to do this middle step of sustaining, I would be prepared. I would be fed when something happens, that actually I would be able to bounce, as opposed to destroying for me feels very depleting, just like exhausting, really.
Well, I think it is exhausting. And I think it's how our culture operates right now, is we're creating, and a lot of that is, what are you doing? How much are you doing? Are you marketing? Are you bringing in people? How many people are you bringing in? And I think it's run by speed and adrenaline.
Yeah.
And so we think we're getting nurtured. So if I'm really, I accomplished really a lot today, and I did this and I did that, and the adrenaline then wears off really, really quickly. And then there's this sense of depletion and exhaustion, or like this didn't work, or depression, or just renewing, like taking something else that's going to give you that adrenaline hit.
Yeah.
Whereas, especially during the pandemic, there was a whole new skill set that opened up for me, which was this very attentive being with. It felt kind of Zenish, like in a Zen practice, that when I'm like making the salad, I was giving my attention to the leaves and what I wanted to put in it, but also the pace that I wanted to be in action with, because like there was no place to go and nothing to do. So I think it gave people an opportunity to drop into, how can I care for? What am I wanting to give my attention to? What's actually truly nourishing me? And for me, the thing that really opened up was what I call essence pace, a real sense of what's the pace where I feel really with me, and also aware of the environment. So when I'm in adrenaline, that's where I hurt myself, because I get out ahead of myself, and I'm not, I bump into things, fall over and all that. And when I'm too slow, I'm not in my essence pace. I'm kind of like, oh, do I have to? And this is so boring. But when I'm in my essence pace, I'm getting nourished by the interaction with listening to myself, and then also listening to what's going on around me. So I think that's one thing that if people give attention to, particularly am I speedy right now? And when I let myself find my breath, take a pause for a moment, then I feel refreshed, and I'm ready to continue interacting with the world rather than retreating or fighting and controlling. So it feels like a big deal to me.
It's funny, I'm being brought, that was beautiful. Thank you for doing it at the moment, slowing us down as we.
I kind of, I hope you all experienced that while we were talking about it.
Yeah, I really did. And it's funny because I didn't feel like when we were chatting, it was off pace either. It's just like, as you're saying, the essence pace is more, what is it calling of me right now? And sometimes when I'm driving, I need to be in a different space, alertness. But then to really truly, it reminds me of toddlers You know, when toddlers are overtired or over hungry and over whatever, it's like they're this little bundle of nervous. And it's like, that's kind of what people are right now. It's like, I feel like people are
No kidding.
overextended and in fear. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I noticed too with the fear is that it's so obvious to me right now that like, oh, that person is scared. And instead of going, oh, that person is scared, cut it out. What I'm inclined to do now is go, oh, I can be with that. I can just take a moment to acknowledge they're feeling scared right now.
Yeah.
And when I do that, I literally can feel a connection.
Yeah.
And to me, that's an element of sustaining that I think is dropped out of our culture that we can each recreate, is that moment of being with another person's experience, letting myself have my own reaction to it. But then also, like, here you are and here I am, and it's what's going on between us that's so valuable for us to focus on right now. Of like, I just felt you take that big breath, and then I could feel myself going, and there was this place in my back that opened up with my breath. And so we support each other's expansion, but also presence. The presence then becomes a verb rather than what some people say is you just need to get present and you stay present. And then,
it's a moving thing. This is a really good, as we're wrapping up this conversation, I would love to hear you speak about the looping that I had never heard of when you and I first met. And in my mind, looping is like it's like when someone's looping. But you spoke of a whole different definition, which I would love for you to give us.
Oh, I would just love to share it, because it's been my main source of nourishment for several decades now. And it's actually very simple, but then it can get really woo-woo. Of you shift your attention. So like right now, just give some attention to you. Like notice, like I'm noticing my feet, and my feet are cushioned into a blanket right now. And so they're kind of feeling all nice and cozy. And I'm noticing that there's this flow of a kind of like champagne bubble energy moving through my body. And then I'm giving my attention to you. And I'm noticing this kind of this from you. And then I come back to me. And the loop of awareness is simply shifting your attention, which actually most people either don't do or don't even know that they can do. Most people's attention is out.
Yeah.
And, out on the screen, out on, particularly out on the screen. And they completely forget about, hey, there's a me over here. And that attention is a major source of nourishment. Attention is as important as food and water. And we kind of denigrate it, like, oh, he's just seeking attention. Like he shouldn't do that. And one thing that we absolutely know is that without attention, people die. And that one of the biggest gifts that we can give to ourselves and others is attention. And I call it being with, giving my attention. I'm being here. I'm being with me. I'm being with you. I'm being with, there's this beautiful red bud out the window that has this color that's sort of even deeper than this. It's just this, woo! And that's a source of nourishment.
Yeah.
And when I'm shifting my attention, it's kind of, I call it the windshield wipers, of it clears.
It cleanses you.
It cleanses, it refreshes, it has all kinds of functions, but very easy. It's just shifting your attention. So you might even try out the next time you feel stuck, notice where your attention is. I guarantee it's either stuck out or it's stuck in. And if you simply shift the movement of your attention, then you begin to get this flow. It's like the river you were describing, that you flow with, and it provides a sense of presence, but also a felt sense of nurturing
and connection. Like it does both. It nurtures me, but it also, because if the attention was only on me, nothing wrong there, but it would remove some of the flow of us. But
Right.
you had described to me years ago this if I notice that the attention is on me, is a nice moment to put the attention on you. And if I notice that the attention's on you, is a nice moment to bring it back to me. And then eventually I feel like I'm able to do both at this. It's almost simultaneous.
Yes, and I appreciate you mentioning that, because the flow of attention can become simultaneous and can include more and more. And so now I really think of it as it's a circle, it's a sphere of attention, and it's incredibly nourishing. But where you start is just simply shifting, because that is like, it's just this little, it's this refreshment.
What a gorgeous place to wrap us here. Thank you again for this beautiful conversation. I'm going to be looping awareness today with birds and things. And
yes, birds and butterflies and leaves.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.